Hey, Aquawaha Boy Rocks. It's Thunderegg Thursday. We're headed out to a location for some afternoon looking around at a place. It's called the Lily Pad Jasper Bed. You've probably seen it before, but you've probably seen almost all these locations before. But I went out there for a couple of reasons. The primary one, I love having samples from as many locations as I can get, and then I also love the conglomerates. So I'm going to get out there, see what we can see, try and break some rock to get some big chunks out, and I'll bring you back here and show you what we found. Hey, Aquawaha Boy Rocks here, and I am somewhere that I really look forward to getting to be. In Central Oregon for one, and at the Lily Pad Jasper mini Thunderegg quarry. We've got the Cascade Mountains in the background, 360-degree view from this hilltop. And I'm going to get down in that pit and see what I can get. All right, so this is what we've got. In addition to lots of hiding places for rattlesnakes, we've got big old pieces of Jasper with Thundereggs in them. Maybe some weathered out Thundereggs around, I hope. No. So, tons of pieces, that right there, that I could just grab. But I'd like to get a couple of good blocks out of this for cutting into slabs. To help me do that, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes and walk around and see what of this looks like it might be good. Okay, the goal here is to start with the hand chisel, work at this seam here, and then get the pry bar in there and see if I can't pop out a 4 to 6 inch deep piece. You know, maybe in a couple of pieces. Basically from here to here, it looks like there's another crack right there, and then I could have some pieces I could slab. Well, after a few minutes of wailing away at that, trying to get a spot started to get my pry bars in there, I'm just not making any progress. This rhyolite is about as hard as the stuff at Sucker Creek. And I also don't see that I'm going to get a lot that's much better than some of these that are already here. So I think, like those who have come before me, I'm just going to select some material that almost fell, that the work has already been done on. So that one's all fractured up. But here's a good one. I could get several nice thick slabs out of this. That might be somewhat interesting too. So, as is so often the case, I'm going to be surface collecting. I bought those pry bars primarily for this location. I was expecting to be able to hammer enough and get started with my chisel and get those in there, but that is not the case. This is some hard stuff. but I'm not seeing much of floating around, probably because it's more what I want. It's this lower layer here. I like the color a lot better on these. So I might try one more effort. This piece right here might be a candidate. May try and see if I can somehow break it loose. Well, foiled again. 15 or 20 minutes, and that's how far I got. This piece is even nicely undercut, but what I can't see is what it's attached to back there. I may have essentially been trying to break the whole boulder apart. So back to surface collecting. There seems to be a little bit of better variety back here. The pit's over there. The road in is over there. And people have been breaking off these boulders, and it looks like just tossing their rejects out. So, let's see, is this piece loose? That might be interesting. I have to kind of balance the fact that I live in Florida and I have to ship all this stuff home, which works out to about 75 cents a pound when I load it up in a flat rate box, with the fact that I live in Florida and I'm probably never going to be here again. So if I want some of this, now's my chance. Here's a piece of green that might face interesting. I could cut that in half and face each side. I'm also wondering how some of this stuff might tumble. Not that I really tumble, but it's always in the back of my mind. Here's, for this location, a good size intact egg. Oh. Looks like there's some more down here. Don't see any snakes since that run-in with the rattlesnake at Northridge the other day. I'm a little more cautious than I was. Now I'm here kind of on the other side. A lot of more of the same. Smaller pieces, which makes me think it's harder to extract over here. Well, there's a nice chunk. If I could take that home and put it on a 24-inch saw, not that I have one. Alright, pick up a few more pieces and I'll be out of here. I'm going to close this week out from down here in the pit where I'm out of the wind a little bit. Hope you've enjoyed seeing me struggle with this lily pad Jasper, the Thunderegg matrix. I think I've got some interesting stuff to take home and slice and show you. And I'm even looking at a couple more whole eggs here where I set down that I'm not going to be able to resist picking up and taking with me. So this was the third spot for the day. I actually started today out at Hampton Butte, just packing up camp. Then I went to Smoky Butte, did a video there. Then Maury Mountain, did a short video there. And now I'm here and I'm going back to camp in Prineville because the Prineville powwow starts up tomorrow. And I will be at that. So I will see you next Thunderegg Thursday. Well, I was on my way out, heading south from the posted coordinates, and then I saw this stuff I didn't know was going to be here. This has a little bit different look to it, so I'm going to grab a little bit of this. This might have been the better place to try and break rock because there's more exposed edges to where I could have not been fighting pieces that were hemmed in side of other rock, but that's water under the bridge. I'm just going to pick up some of this stuff and take it with me. Well, here's a great stop just south of that, maybe a couple of miles south of that lily pad bed. We've got a nice old road bridge that's been replaced by a new one, looking over the Crooked River. We've got mountains on both sides. And it's a free stop, marked Scenic Overlook, just south of the lily pad bed. Now I'm off to the side of the pedestrian bridge, and then underneath you've got a good look at some columnar basalt there. So if you've never seen that, this is actually the first time I've seen it more or less up close in person. It's a good view of it there. Alright, this is the material. Of course, I shipped way too much back. I visited the spot before the reality of what my shipping costs were going to add up to kind of sunk in. And I was picking this stuff going, oh, maybe this piece would be good. Maybe this piece would be good. I mean, none of it's really good. But it is different. Lots of little junk Thundereggs in here. There's some different locations there. So some of them, you know, were a little bit better than others, a little bit more well-defined. There are also loose Thundereggs, and I use that term loosely. I mean, yes, they are Thundereggs, but they're not what you think of when you think of Thundereggs. So I'm going to cut some of this stuff up. I'm going to try and cut some of it. You can see how these are sort of flattened the way they were oriented. So I'm going to try and cut some of them across the eggs and some of it kind of with them, so to speak. So let me get some of this over to the saw and do some cutting, and then we'll be back. Okay, looking at some of the material from the lily pad Jasper bed. Some of it that I've cut over the last few days. Now this I've already gotten wet trying to wash some of the kitty litter off of it that wanted to stick. And the rest of this is not wet. So I found all these little Thundereggs loose. And of course, I had to cut some of them because, well, it's me, and that's what I do. So some of this looks like it could be trying to get some chalcedony in it, but for most of it, it's just kind of rhyolite balls. Then I didn't have much in the way of expectations for this material. But I've tried to group it here on the table by kind of the area of the bed I got it from. This is not lapidary material. It's probably not going to really polish up, but as I often do, I find it interesting. This piece I found very interesting for the contrast of colors. There's some chalcedony trying to form and some of the little Thundereggs. So I find that pretty interesting. This is the piece that I had already gotten wet. This is from the last area that I went to that I didn't realize was going to be an area until I'd already collected too much. So maybe my favorite, I don't know. And there's definitely some chalcedony and some hollow eggs here. So I think that probably looks the best out of any of it, except maybe this one, I don't know. But anyway, that's the material from Lily Pad Jasper Thunderegg bed. So my wrap-up thoughts on that Thunderegg bed, I definitely think it was worth the trip. That area of Central Oregon, South Central Washington, Western Idaho, that area is worth a flight from anywhere in the country sometime in your life to rockhound. Sooner rather than later, as some of the great places to go are starting to close or be open less, or maybe some of the materials getting a little bit more scarce. Not that I think we're gonna run out of rocks in my lifetime to collect, but definitely worth getting out there. And then this spot is definitely worth a half hour, 45 minutes of your time while you're out there. Get you a little flat rate box of this material and ship it home and have, you know, have it as a specimen of one of the Pacific Northwest Thunderegg beds. Have it for your collection. So that's about all I have on this spot. I will see you next Thunderegg Thursday.